The quantum receiver's display pulsed with an otherworldly rhythm, its azure glow reflecting off Dr. Maya Patel's dark eyes as she studied the incoming data stream. 3 months of continuous signals, and still no one at the Deep Space Research Initiative could explain their origin. The pattern was too precise to be natural, too complex to be random, and too familiar to be alien. Dr. Patel. James Chen's voice cut through her concentration. The analysis you requested is complete. Maya turned from the display, facing her young colleague. The bags under his eyes matched her own. Neither of them had slept properly since the signals first appeared. Show me. James projected a holographic model in the center of the lab. We finally isolated the carrier wave's core sequence. Well, you need to see this yourself. The projection shifted, revealing a complex molecular structure that made Maya's breath catch in her throat. That's impossible, she whispered, but the evidence floated before her, undeniable in its clarity. It's DNA, James confirmed. Human DNA. Not just similar, identical to our base genetic structure, down to the most fundamental markers. Maya circled the projection, her mind racing. The signal originated from HD 40,307 grams, a potentially habitable super-Earth 42 light-years away. No human expedition had ever ventured beyond the Alpha Centauri system. Could it be a reflection? Our own signals bouncing back. That was my first thought, James replied, manipulating the display to show the signal's temporal characteristics. But the decay pattern doesn't match any known reflection phenomenon. This is a directed transmission, Maya. Someone out there is deliberately broadcasting human genetic code. The implications were staggering. Either humanity wasn't native to Earth, a theory that would upend every understanding of human evolution, or someone had taken humans from Earth long ago. Neither possibility aligned with accepted history. Maya's quantum pad chimed, interrupting her thoughts. Director Chen was calling an emergency meeting. 10 minutes later, she found herself in the DSRI's main conference room, surrounded by the organization's top scientists and military liaisons. Ladies and gentlemen, Director Chen began, her usual composure marked by an undercurrent of excitement. What I'm about to share is classified at the highest levels. 20 minutes ago, we detected a new signal from HD 40,307 grams. This one was different. A clear response to our automated reply protocols. The room erupted in murmurs. Maya leaned forward, her heart pounding. They'd been broadcasting basic response signals for weeks, hoping to establish communication. The message was brief, Chen continued, but unambiguous. It contained a single phrase in ancient Sanskrit. The children remember their home. Colonel Sarah Rivera, the military's chief liaison, spoke up. Sanskrit. Are we certain about the translation? Our linguistic AI is confident, Chen replied. But that's not the most remarkable part. She gestured, and a new hologram appeared above the conference table. This arrived with the message. The image showed a massive structure in orbit around HD 40,307 grams. Its architecture was unlike anything humanity had ever built, yet somehow familiar. Curved lines that echoed the sacred geometry found in temples across Earth's ancient civilizations. They're inviting us, Chen announced. The message included specifications for a quantum tunnel, a way to bridge the distance between our worlds. The physics are revolutionary, but our preliminary analysis suggests it's feasible. Maya studied the specifications scrolling alongside the image. The mathematics were elegant, building on principles humanity had only recently begun to grasp. They're testing us, she realized aloud. By giving us this technology, they're seeing if we can understand and implement it. Precisely, Chen agreed. And that's why you're here, Dr. Patel. We're assembling a team to attempt the journey. Your understanding of quantum mechanics and human genetics makes you uniquely qualified to lead the scientific contingent. Maya felt the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders. Everything humanity thought they knew about their origins and place in the universe was about to change. When do we begin? Immediately, Colonel Rivera answered. We've already broken ground on the quantum tunnel facility. The President will address the United Nations tomorrow. Within hours, every human on Earth will know we're not alone in the universe, and that our cosmic family is waiting to meet us. As Maya left the conference room, her mind was already racing with calculations and possibilities. The quantum tunnel specifications revealed principles that would revolutionize physics, but they also hinted at something more profound. The civilization that created this technology didn't think like aliens. They thought like humans who had taken a different path. In her lab, Maya pulled up the original DNA sequence from the signal. There was something there, hidden in the pattern, something she'd missed before. She spent hours analyzing it, checking and rechecking her findings until she was certain. The genetic code wasn't just human. It contained markers indicating an ancient branch of humanity that had diverged hundreds of thousands of years ago. A branch that had somehow reached the stars while the rest of humanity was still mastering fire. As the first rays of dawn painted the sky outside her window, Maya finally understood. They weren't about to meet aliens. They were about to meet their own kind, humans who had taken a different path to the stars. And somehow, she knew this meeting would change everything. The quantum receiver continued its rhythmic pulse, now joined by others around the world as humanity prepared to take its first step into a much larger universe, one where they weren't alone, but part of a family they never knew they had. The quantum tunnel hummed with potential energy, its crystalline structure catching the light like a cathedral's stained glass. Maya stood before the massive arch, her expedition suit's neural interface synchronizing with the facility's systems. Around her, the launch chamber buzzed with activity as the final preparations were made for humanity's first quantum leap across the stars. Final systems check complete, James announced from his station. In the 3 months since the signal's discovery, he'd proven himself invaluable, helping translate the alien mathematics into working technology. Quantum matrix is stable. We're ready, Dr. Patel. Colonel Rivera approached, her own expedition suit gleaming under the chamber's lights. Security team is green. Medical is standing by. We're just waiting for your signal. Maya nodded, her throat tight with anticipation. Their team of 12 scientists, 4 security personnel, and 4 specialists represented humanity's first step into a larger universe. The quantum tunnel would create a temporary bridge through space-time, allowing them to cross 42 light-years in a single step. Begin quantum initialization sequence, Maya commanded. The arch's crystalline structure began to pulse with deeper energy, patterns of light racing through its lattice. The mathematics predicted a perfectly safe passage, but they were about to attempt something humans had only theorized about until 3 months ago. The center of the arch shimmered, space itself seeming to fold inward. Through the distortion, Maya could see another chamber, mirror-like in its construction, but with subtle differences in architecture. They were looking through a window across 42 light-years. Quantum bridge is stable, James reported, his voice steady despite the historic moment. Environment readings from the other side match our parameters. We have a green light. Maya took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. Expedition team, form up. We go through together. The 12 members of the team moved into position, forming a tight group before the shimmering portal. 3, 2, 1. Mark. They stepped forward as one. Maya felt a moment of profound disconnection, as if her consciousness had been stretched across the galaxy and snapped back into place. Then they were through, standing in a chamber that echoed their own, but was clearly of alien, or rather, other human, construction. A delegation waited for them, and Maya's breath caught in her throat. They looked human, yet their presence carried a weight of ages that made her skin tingle. Their leader stepped forward, a tall woman with dark skin and features that suggested East African ancestry, yet her eyes held wisdom that seemed to span millennia. "Welcome, children of Earth," she spoke in perfect English, though her accent carried traces of something far older. I am Administrator Aisha of the Stellar Conservatory. We have waited long for this day. Maya stepped forward, her diplomatic training kicking in. I am Dr. Maya Patil of the Deep Space Research Initiative. We come seeking understanding. Aisha's smile held warmth and something like pride. And you shall have it. Come, there is much to show you. They were led through corridors that seemed to be grown rather than built, organic curves blending seamlessly with advanced technology. The architecture reminded Maya of patterns she'd seen in ancient ruins on Earth, but evolved over thousands of years of technological advancement. Your civilization, Maya began, her scientific curiosity overcoming protocol. You're human, but you achieved spaceflight long before our recorded history. How is this possible? Aisha led them into a vast chamber that appeared to be a historical archive. Holographic displays showed scenes from Earth's past, scenes that didn't match any known historical record. Human civilization has risen and fallen many times on Earth, Aisha explained. Most of these cycles were lost to time, their remnants buried under millions of years of geological activity. We were part of the first flowering, nearly 300,000 years ago. The displays showed cities that would have rivaled modern metropolises, but with architecture that seemed to work in harmony with nature rather than in opposition to it. We achieved technological advancement different from your path. We learned to work with the fundamental forces of nature rather than trying to dominate them. But what happened? Colonel Rivera asked, her tactical mind already analyzing potential threats. Why did you leave Earth? Aisha's expression grew solemn. We saw the signs of collapse approaching, not from external threats, but from our own success. Rather than risk destroying the cradle of humanity, we chose exodus. We used our technology to erase most traces of our existence, allowing Earth to heal and new human civilizations to arise naturally. You've been watching us, Maya realized. All this time, you've been monitoring Earth's development. Yes, Aisha confirmed. We and others like us. There are several branches of humanity among the stars, each taking their own path. We watched and waited, knowing that eventually our younger siblings would reach for the stars in their own way. A new hologram appeared, showing a map of the galaxy with points of light indicating human civilizations. Maya counted at least a dozen, spread across thousands of light years. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't just reaching for the stars, they were coming home to them. But now time grows short, Aisha continued, her tone growing urgent. We revealed ourselves because you have reached a crucial point in your development, and because you will soon face challenges that no human civilization can face alone. The holographic display shifted, showing something that made Maya's blood run cold. In the vast darkness between the stars, something was moving. Something that threatened everything humanity had built, in all its forms. What you're about to learn will change your understanding of not just human history, but of life itself, Aisha said. The question is, are you ready for the truth? Maya looked at her team, seeing her own mix of fear and determination reflected in their eyes. They had crossed 42 light years to find answers. Whatever waited in the darkness between stars, humanity would face it together. All branches of humanity, united after hundreds of thousands of years of separation. We're ready, Maya answered, speaking for all of Earth. Show us what we need to know. The holographic display filled the vast chamber with images that defied comprehension. Maya watched as shapes moved through the void between stars, not ships or structures, but something that seemed to exist in more dimensions than human eyes could process. They folded space around themselves like living quantum anomalies. We call them the Void Weavers, Aisha explained, her voice heavy with the weight of ancient knowledge. They aren't life as we understand it. They're more like tears in reality, seeking to reshape our universe into something that better suits their nature. Colonel Rivera stepped closer to the display, her military training evident in how she analyzed the threat. How you fight something like that? That's the challenge that has consumed our civilization for millennia, Aisha responded. Conventional weapons are useless against beings that can simply step around three-dimensional space. We've managed to hold them back, but we're losing ground. That's why we needed you." "Us?" Maya asked, still trying to process the impossible geometries of the Void Weavers. "What can Earth's humanity offer against something like this?" Aisha gestured, and the hologram shifted to show a comparison of brain patterns, one from her people, one from Earth humans. "In our exodus to the stars, we changed ourselves. We advanced technologically, learned to manipulate quantum fields as easily as you manipulate matter. But we lost something in the process, something you still possess." The brain patterns were subtly different. Where the ancient humans' minds showed perfect, almost crystalline patterns of thought, Earth humans' brains were chaos engines, firing in unpredictable ways that somehow coalesced into coherent consciousness. "Creativity," James whispered, understanding dawning in his eyes. "We think differently because we evolved differently. We make intuitive leaps that don't follow logical patterns." "Precisely," Aisha confirmed. "The Void Weavers operate on pure logic, bending reality through mathematical principles. Our organized minds can understand them, but we think too much like them to surprise them. You, however," she smiled, "you still dream. You make connections that shouldn't work, yet do. You defy logic itself sometimes, and that might be exactly what we need." Maya remembered how they'd adapted the quantum tunnel technology. Where Aisha's people had provided elegant, mathematically perfect solutions, her team had found shortcuts, jury-rigged solutions that shouldn't have worked but did. They'd completed the project in 3 months instead of the expected year. "Show us everything you know about them," Maya said. "Let's see what Earth's chaos minds can come up with." The next several hours were a crash course in physics that made Maya's head spin. The Void Weavers weren't just beings from another universe. They were the universe trying to change itself, cosmic antibodies attempting to eliminate what they saw as an infection of ordered matter in their quantum foam. But as Maya absorbed the information, connections began forming in her mind, possibilities that the ancient humans' ordered thoughts might have missed. She saw James and the other Earth scientists having similar moments of inspiration, their eyes lighting up with ideas that defied conventional logic. "What if we don't try to fight them directly?" Maya suggested, interrupting Aisha's explanation of their latest defensive strategy. "You've been treating this like a war, but what if it's more like an immune response? What if we could convince the universe that we're not an infection, but a natural part of its evolution?" Aisha blinked, her perfect composure slipping for a moment. That's not how reality works. You can't negotiate with quantum mechanics." "Why not?" Maya pressed, her mind racing with possibilities. "Everything you've shown us indicates the Void Weavers are an expression of natural law. But natural laws can be worked with, redirected. On Earth, we learned to use gravity to slingshot our spacecraft around planets, not fighting the force, but making it work for us." "A quantum sympathy," James added, catching Maya's train of thought. "Instead of trying to destroy or block them, we could design a way to make our ordered matter resonate with their chaos in a way that makes both states stable." The ancient humans in the room stared at them with a mixture of confusion and dawning hope. This was why they had reached across the stars to find their lost cousins, to find minds that could think the unthinkable. "It would require completely redesigning our understanding of quantum mechanics," Aisha said slowly. "The calculations alone would take years." "Unless we don't calculate everything," Maya countered. "Sometimes on Earth, when a problem is too complex to solve directly, we use iterative approximations. We try something, see how it fails, and adjust. We learn by doing." "That's incredibly dangerous with quantum mechanics," Aisha protested. "One mistake could unravel reality itself." "Then we'll have to not make mistakes," Colonel Rivera said firmly. "Because from what you've shown us, we're going to lose this war eventually if we keep fighting it the same way. Sometimes the biggest risk is not taking one." Maya watched as Aisha struggled with the concept. The ancient humans had spent thousands of years perfecting their science, making it as precise and predictable as mathematics itself. The idea of using intuition and approximation with forces that could reshape reality must seem like madness to them. But that was exactly why Earth's humans were needed. They were still comfortable with chaos, still willing to take leaps of faith when logic alone wouldn't suffice. Their minds were quantum computers that ran on dreams as much as data. "We'll need to test the theory somewhere safe," Maya said. "Is there a section of space we can use as a laboratory?" Aisha nodded slowly, still looking uncertain but willing to trust these younger cousins of her species. "We have a secured system we use for quantum experiments." But Maya, she fixed the Earth scientist with an intense gaze. "If you're wrong about this, if the Void Weavers can't be reasoned with even on a quantum level, then we'll try something else," Maya said firmly. "That's what Earth humans do. We keep trying, keep adapting, keep finding new ways forward until we succeed. It's how we survived on Earth without your advanced technology. It's how we'll survive this." The ancient human studied her for a long moment, then smiled. "Perhaps," she said softly, "we have more to learn from you than you from us." The quantum laboratory was a sphere of pure energy, suspended in space at the edge of a secured star system. Maya stood at its center, surrounded by holographic displays, showing real-time quantum fluctuations in the surrounding space. James worked beside her, while Aisha and her team monitored from a safe distance. "Recording test iteration 37, Maya announced, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. 2 weeks of continuous experiments had yielded promising results, but they were still far from a solution. Implementing modified resonance pattern based on Earth wave harmonics. The lab's quantum field generators hummed to life, creating a miniature version of the pattern they hoped would communicate with the Void Weavers. On Earth, humans had learned to use music to communicate emotions across language barriers. Maya's team was attempting something similar on a quantum level, creating music with reality itself. "Quantum coherence at 60%, James reported, his fingers dancing across the holographic controls. "Wavelength matching theoretical predictions. We're ready." Maya nodded. "Initiate contact protocol." The generators pulsed, sending their carefully crafted quantum melody into a small, contained tear in spacetime, a microscopic version of the Void Weaver's natural state. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the tear began to change, its chaotic patterns shifting in response to their signal. "We're getting feedback," James said excitedly. "The tear is resonating with our pattern." Maya leaned forward, studying the readings. The tear wasn't just mimicking their signal, it was adapting it, adding its own variations to the quantum melody. Like two musicians learning to play together, their ordered reality and the tear's chaos were finding common ground. "This is unprecedented." Aisha's voice came through the comm. "The tear is maintaining stability while interacting with normal spacetime. How did you know this would work?" "We didn't," Maya admitted. "But on Earth, we learned that communication doesn't always need perfect understanding. Sometimes you just need to show you're willing to listen and adapt." The experiment continued for several hours, each iteration revealing new aspects of how chaos and order could coexist. But just as they were preparing to end the test, something unexpected happened. "Energy spike," James shouted. "The tear is expanding." Maya's hands flew across the controls, trying to contain the reaction. "It's not attacking," she realized, watching the patterns. "It's trying to show us something." The tear expanded into a window of sorts, revealing glimpses of what seemed to be another universe, one where the laws of physics themselves were different. Through it, Maya could see structures that defied Euclidean geometry, life forms that existed as pure mathematics. "They're not invaders," Maya breathed, understanding finally dawning. "They're refugees. Their universe is dying, and they're trying to survive the only way they know how. That matches no theory we've developed in thousands of years of studying them," Aisha said, her voice tight with disbelief. "Because you were looking for enemies," Colonel Rivera interjected. "Sometimes it takes fresh eyes to see past our assumptions." The tear fluctuated, and in its quantum dance, Maya recognized something devastatingly familiar: fear. The Void Weavers weren't trying to reshape our universe out of malice, but out of desperate need to make it habitable for themselves. "We need to modify our approach," Maya announced. "Instead of trying to make them adapt to our reality, we need to find a way to create spaces where both forms of existence can thrive." "James, remember that paper on quantum bubbles?" James nodded eagerly. "The theoretical spaces where different laws of physics could coexist. But that was just theoretical physics. No one's ever tried because it seemed impossible," Maya finished. "But we're not bound by what seems impossible anymore." Over the next several hours, they worked to modify their quantum resonance pattern. The ancient humans provided the precise mathematical framework, while Maya's team contributed the intuitive leaps needed to bridge seemingly impossible gaps. It was a perfect synthesis of both civilizations' strengths. "Ready for final test," Maya announced. "This pattern should create a stable quantum bubble, a space where their physics and ours can coexist without either trying to overwrite the other." As they initiated the sequence, the tear in spacetime began to change. Instead of trying to expand, it settled into a stable configuration. Within the bubble they'd created, chaos and order danced in perfect harmony. "We've done it," James whispered. "We've created a bridge between universes." But before they could celebrate, their sensors detected something massive approaching through normal space. Maya's heart raced as she recognized the readings. A full-sized Void Weaver, drawn by their experiments. "Hold positions," she ordered, fighting to keep her voice steady. "This is what we've been working toward. Let's show them we can find a way forward together." As the vast, reality-bending form of the Void Weaver approached their laboratory, Maya stood ready at her controls. Everything humanity had learned about cooperation, adaptation, and thinking beyond the obvious had led to this moment. They were about to discover if they could turn an ancient enemy into something entirely new, a partner in the greatest diplomatic challenge humanity had ever faced. The fate of two universes hung in the balance, and humanity's greatest strength, the ability to imagine the impossible and make it real, was about to be tested like never before. The Void Weaver's approach transformed the space around Maya's laboratory, reality rippling like water around a stone. Through the quantum sensors, its true form was finally visible, a cascading fractal of possibilities, each layer existing in a different configuration of spacetime. It was beautiful in its alien complexity and terrifying in its power. "Quantum bubble holding stable," James reported, his voice tense but controlled. "Ready to initiate contact sequence on your mark." Maya took a deep breath, aware that this moment would either mark a new chapter in human history or its end. "Begin transmission." The quantum harmonics they developed filled the space between them and the vast entity, a symphony of mathematics and possibility. For several heart-beating minutes, there was no response. Then, like an orchestra joining a soloist, the Void Weaver began to respond. "It's matching our pattern," Aisha breathed through the comm. "But it's adding to it. The complexity is beyond anything we've seen." Maya watched in awe as new dimensions of quantum interaction unfolded in their sensors. The Void Weaver wasn't just communicating. It was teaching them, showing them how reality looked from its perspective. Through the quantum harmonics, she began to understand what they truly were. They're not just refugees, she realized. They're the last librarians of a dying universe. They're trying to preserve the physics, the mathematical principles, the very essence of their reality before it collapses completely. The Void Weaver's response confirmed her insight, its quantum patterns carrying concepts that transcended normal human language. It showed them visions of its universe, one that had existed for trillions of years before our own, now approaching its final entropy death. The Void Weavers were its custodians, seeking not just survival, but preservation of all their universe had been. "We need to scale up the quantum bubble technology," Maya announced. "Not just small experimental spaces, but vast regions where both our physics can coexist. We can give them sanctuary, And in return, they can teach us things about reality that we would never have discovered on our own. Aisha finished. The combined knowledge of two universes. The next few hours were a blur of activity as both teams worked together, Earth humans providing innovative approaches while the ancient humans refined them with their advanced understanding. The Void Weaver participated too, its vast intelligence helping them solve problems that would have taken years to work out alone. Finally, Maya stood before a new set of holographic displays, showing their completed work. A network of quantum bubbles would be created throughout the galaxy, spaces where both forms of reality could exist in harmony. The Void Weavers would have their sanctuary, and humanity would gain understanding beyond anything they had imagined. "It's ready," she announced, initiating full-scale implementation. Across the galaxy, quantum generators built by both human civilizations hummed to life. The space between stars shimmered as new physics took hold in carefully controlled regions. Through their sensors, they could see Void Weavers approaching these spaces, not as invaders now, but as neighbors moving into newly built homes. "We did it," James whispered, watching the data stream in. "We actually did it." "No," Maya corrected him gently. "Humanity did it. All of humanity working together." She turned to Aisha. "Your people's knowledge and precision, combined with Earth's creativity and willingness to take chances. We needed both to solve this." Aisha smiled, and for the first time, Maya saw not an ancient being of superior knowledge, but simply another human, different but equal. Perhaps this is why the universe allowed humanity to develop along different paths. Not to divide us, but to ensure that when the time came, we would have all the tools we needed. Through their quantum sensors, they could see the Void Weavers beginning to share their knowledge. Concepts that would revolutionize human understanding of reality itself, freely given in gratitude for their new sanctuary. But more importantly, they could see the barriers between human civilizations beginning to fall. "What happens now?" Colonel Rivera asked, her tactical mind already considering the future implications. "Now," Maya said, watching as the quantum bubbles stabilized across space, "we learn. From the Void Weavers, from each other, from all the other human civilizations out there among the stars. We've proved that different doesn't mean incompatible, that chaos and order, past and present, different approaches and perspectives, can work together to create something greater than any could achieve alone." The quantum harmonics continued to play through space, a symphony of two universes learning to coexist. But beneath that cosmic music, Maya could hear something else, the sound of humanity's many branches beginning to grow together again, not into a single trunk, but into a stronger, more diverse whole. "We reached for the stars," she said softly, "and found not just our lost family, but a new understanding of what humanity can be when we embrace all our different ways of seeing the universe." Above them, the galaxy sparkled with new possibility, quantum bubbles shimmering like jewels among the stars. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge, not through force or conflict, but through understanding, adaptation, and cooperation. They had proved that the greatest strength lies not in eliminating differences, but in finding ways to make them work together in harmony. The universe, it seemed, was big enough for many kinds of truth, many ways of existing, and humanity, in all its varied forms, would help show the way forward into this new age of cooperation between realities. As Maya looked out at the transformed galaxy, she knew this wasn't an ending, but a beginning. Humanity's next great adventure was just starting, and this time, they would face it together, as one species with many voices, many approaches, and endless possibilities ahead.